New Jersey has two completely different real estate markets living inside it, and they pretend they don't know each other. There's the Jersey you grew up in, where the property taxes arrive like a medical diagnosis, where a guy in Tom's River calls his three-bedroom basically an estate because he finished the basement himself, and where waterfront property means the backyard floods twice a year and you've stopped fighting it. And then there's the other Jersey, the one that quietly moves houses for the price of a small regional airport, almost always to an LLC with a name like Sunset Holdings Group, so nobody ever has to put their actual face on the deed. Today, we're counting down the 10 most expensive homes ever sold in the Garden State, starting at a measly $14 million and climbing all the way up to a house that has held the all-time record since before the iPhone existed. These houses are almost all in the same two towns, and you'll start guessing them before I say it. Nearly every single one of these also has a full-size indoor basketball court, and I promise you not one of these owners has ever taken a charge in their life. Let's start at number 10. Number 10 is 44 Rio Vista Drive in Alpine, which sold for $13.9 million in 2015. Now, Alpine is going to be a recurring character in this video, so let me set the table. Alpine is a borough of about 2,000 people sitting 15 minutes from the George Washington Bridge, and it has spent decades being the place rich people go when they want all the money of Manhattan and absolutely none of the eye contact. The house itself is 11,000 square feet of brick manor with a separate guest house and a children's playground built into the grounds, which is a beautiful idea for people who hire other people to be near their children. This house first listed back in 2006 at $24.9 million, so it sat there, brick and proud and overpriced for nearly a decade, getting marked down like a holiday ham nobody wanted until it finally moved for $11 million less than the original ask. Number 9 is 2 Beringer Road in Deal, which went for $14.2 million in 2017. Welcome to Deal, the other town that's going to keep showing up, a tiny shore enclave with deep old Syrian Jewish money, family compounds passed down like heirlooms, and private beach clubs where the entire social calendar happens behind hedges so tall the sun has to file a request. This particular house gets described as minimalist, waterfront, sitting near the ocean with private beach access. $14.2 million for minimalist. You are paying $14 million specifically for the absence of stuff. Somewhere there's a guy who spent 40 grand filling his living room with furniture, and the guy in Deal spent 14 million making sure his living room contains nothing but a single chair, a slab of concrete, and the general concept of light. Number 8 is 44 Litchfield Way, back in Alpine, at $14.9 million. This one's been owned since 2009 by New York Yankees pitcher C.C. Sabathia, who bought it from Pharrell Williams' former manager, which might be the single most. The money in this town comes from places you have never heard of. Sentence I can possibly hand you. The house has an in-home theater, the now obligatory indoor basketball court, and the detail that makes this whole thing sing, a beauty salon inside the house. Not a bathroom with flattering lighting, an actual salon with a chair and a sink and presumably a person who shows up to operate it. You have officially reached the level of wealth where leaving the house to get your hair done is considered a logistics failure. In-home salon means somebody in that household sat down, looked at the 20-minute drive to a blowout, and decided that was the one indignity money should never again have to suffer. Respect. Number 7 is River Oak Farm in Mahwah, which sold for $19 million in 2009. We're leaving the coast for horse country now. This is a 46-acre English country equestrian estate bought by hedge fund chief Larry Robbins of Glenview Capital, and it comes with a 20-stall barn, an indoor riding arena so the horses don't have to deal with weather, and the real headliner, a traditional English pub built right into the property. You can drink in your own private bar, decorated to look exactly like a place where strangers would normally gather, except no strangers are permitted because it's your house in Mawa. That is the dream for a very specific kind of man, to lovingly recreate an entire warm public gathering spot and then guarantee the public can never set foot in it. 20 stalls for the horses, one pub for the human, and 46 acres of land arranged so that not a single soul on earth can hear you pour yourself a pint at 2 in the afternoon. Number 6 is One Monmouth Drive in Deal at roughly $19.7 million, which drags us right back to the shore. We've got oceanfront positioning, floor-to-ceiling windows, a private tennis court, and a pool with water views. I want to sit inside that last detail for a second. A pool with water views. The ocean is right there. It is comfortably the single largest water feature on the entire planet. And somebody looked at it and decided to build a smaller, heated, chlorinated water rectangle next to it so you can sit in the small water while gazing out at the big water. That is $19.7 million of I would like to swim in water while remaining near some other water. The floor-to-ceiling windows at least make sense. When you've paid for that view, you want glass everywhere. Although it does also mean every contractor within 40 miles knows precisely what your living room couch looks like. Number 5 is 2 Margot Way in Alpine, which moved for an even $20 million. This is one of the largest homes in the entire state, clocking in at over 34,000 square feet, which is essentially a Costco that someone decided to live inside of. It's got an indoor basketball court, naturally, and a saltwater pool atrium, which is a swimming pool, inside a glass room, inside a building, roughly the footprint of a community college. And it was reportedly bought by a Russian investor through an LLC, which, look, I am not going to speculate about where any of that money originated. I am simply going to observe out loud that 34,000 square feet purchased anonymously through a shell company in Alpine, New Jersey, is the most, let's go ahead and not ask any follow-up questions, real estate transaction a person can encounter. You don't need that much house. Nobody on earth needs that much house. That is not a home. That is a climate-controlled facility for storing one feeling. Number 4 is 91 Ocean Avenue in Deal, which sold for $22.6 million in 2011. This one was bought by billionaire retail real estate mogul Jeff Sutton, and he bought it for well below the $35 million asking price. A billionaire haggling talked himself into a roughly $12 million discount on a beach house, which means at some point in this transaction, an actual billionaire looked at $35 million and went, not at that number, I don't love it. It's 12,000 square feet sitting on 350 feet of private beachfront, which in New Jersey is practically a felony because the rest of us are out here fighting over a 4-foot patch of sand wedged between a guy with a metal detector and a family of 6 guarding a cooler of warm Bud Light. And this man owns 350 continuous feet of coastline outright, and he got it on sale. Number 3 is 1055 Ocean Avenue in Long Branch, which hit $25.15 million in 2007. Long Branch is the shore town that somewhat got its act together. The Pier Village glow-up, the oceanfront towers, the whole "we're a real destination now" statement that the rest of the northern shore still resents a little. This is a nearly 4-acre oceanfront estate with panoramic views, a pool, a tennis court, a basketball court, and a guest house, and it's tied to New York real estate figure Jack Chihibar. 4 acres directly on the Atlantic in New Jersey is genuinely absurd. That's not a lot, that's a small public park that happens to have exactly one family living in it. And there it is again, the basketball court. By this point in the list, I need you to fully understand the wealthy of New Jersey have collectively, silently agreed that the truest sign you've made it is the ability to shoot free throws at your house during a thunderstorm. And I cannot stress this enough, not one single one of them actually plays. Number 2 is the best story on this entire list, so settle in for this one. This is the Stone Mansion, also known as the Frick Estate in Alpine, and it finally sold for $27.5 million in 2022. Here's the saga. Apartment mogul Richard Kurtz bought the 60-acre former Frick estate all the way back in 2006 for $58 million. Then he spent about another $27 million constructing a brand new 30,000 square foot mansion on it. And then, and I need you to physically hold this in your hands, he never actually moved in. He built one of the most expensive private homes in the history of the state and then simply did not live in it. It first listed in 2010 for $68 million, took well over a decade to find a buyer, and that buyer eventually paid cash because of course they did. Inside, this thing has a ballroom, a martini bar, and a completely separate wine tasting room, plus dual libraries, 2 of them for a man who built the house and never spent one night reading in either, 2 art galleries, a 65-foot saltwater pool, and yes, the indoor basketball court. He built a palace, stocked it with 2 libraries, 2 bars, and 2 art galleries, then looked at the finished masterpiece, decided, you know what, I'm good, and left it standing empty for 12 straight years. And number 1, the reigning all-time champion, the house that has held the record since 2006 and that nobody in this entire state has managed to beat since, is 47 Rio Vista Drive in Alpine, which sold for approximately $28.46 million. Same street as our number 10, by the way, which means Rio Vista Drive is quietly running this entire list while pretending it's not. This is a 28,000 square foot estate, and it was previously owned by the late billionaire dealmaker Donald Drapkin, who died in a skiing accident in 2012. I'll leave the man himself in peace. He was a serious figure who closed serious deals. And that's the end of that part of the joke. The house was bought naturally through an LLC, and it comes with a conservatory, a pool house, and professionally landscaped grounds. A conservatory. We have now reached the precise altitude of wealth where your home contains rooms that otherwise only exist inside the board game Clue. You don't have a sunroom, you have a conservatory where presumably Colonel Mustard is already standing by with the candlestick. 2 full decades later, it is still the most expensive home ever sold in New Jersey, which tells you the ceiling on this state was set back when Tony Soprano was still doing business at the Bada Bing, and not one person has been able to top it since. So there it is, the 10 most expensive homes ever sold in New Jersey. Somebody just bought a 30,000 square foot mansion in Alpine and couldn't even be bothered to sleep in it once. If that doesn't perfectly sum up this entire state, I genuinely don't know what will.